Sometimes, the greatest acts of kindness happen when no one is watching. And sometimes, they come back to us in the most unexpected, life-changing ways. This is the story of a tired single father, barely holding his life together, who gave away his only breakfast to a woman he believed needed it more. He didn't expect anything in return. In fact, he walked away believing he had just made his day harder. But just a few weeks later, the woman returned, not alone, with a team of lawyers, and what happened next changed everything for him and his daughter. Before we begin, if you believe kindness can change lives, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. It means the world to us and helps us spread stories that matter. Welcome to your channel name, where every story reminds us that small kindness can create big miracles. Main story. Michael Turner was a 35-year-old single father living in a modest rented apartment on the quiet side of Columbus, Ohio. Since his wife left years ago, he had been raising his 7-year-old daughter, Emily, all alone. He worked as a mechanic at a small auto repair shop, earning just enough to cover rent, groceries, and Emily's school expenses. Most days, he woke up before sunrise, packed her lunch, dropped her at school, and headed straight to the garage. Life wasn't easy. His hands were rough from years of work. His clothes were clean but worn. And though his fridge was often half empty, he always made sure Emily never felt like they lacked anything. She didn't know that sometimes he skipped meals just so she could have her favorite peanut butter sandwich. It was one especially cold Thursday morning in December. Michael hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. On his way to work after dropping off Emily, he stopped by the small diner near the auto shop. He bought their cheapest breakfast special, a plain buttered toast, 2 scrambled eggs, and a cup of coffee. He paid with coins he had collected from his car's ashtray. This was supposed to be the only meal he'd have that day. As he stepped outside holding the warm takeout box, he noticed a woman sitting on the curb. She looked exhausted, her clothes thin and worn, her hair tangled from the wind. She held a faded canvas bag close, and her eyes stared down at the pavement. She looked like someone who hadn't slept indoors for nights. Michael paused, feeling the chill bite deeper. He remembered the winter nights when his heat didn't work because he couldn't pay the bill on time. He remembered wrapping Emily in layers of blankets and pretending it was a fun camping night. He thought of how much that hurt. He slowly walked up to her. "Ma'am, you okay?" he asked gently. She looked up, startled, then simply nodded without saying anything. He hesitated, hunger tugged at his stomach, but his heart tugged stronger. "Here," he said, extending the breakfast. "It's not much, but maybe it helps." The woman stared at him, eyes widening. Her lips trembled. For a moment she said nothing, then slowly whispered, "Thank you." Michael nodded awkwardly, almost embarrassed, and walked away quickly before she could say more. He didn't want her to see how much he needed that meal himself. At work, his boss noticed how pale he looked, but Michael just said he was tired. He finished his shift, picked up Emily, and made dinner from whatever he had left, a cup of instant noodles, shared between them. Emily smiled as she ate and said, "Daddy, you're the best cook ever." Michael smiled too, though a part of him ached. Days went by. The moment with the woman slipped from his worn-out mind. He didn't do it for gratitude. He just hoped she was okay. But then things got worse. The auto repair shop lost business, and his hours were cut. His paycheck shrunk. Rent was due, Emily needed new shoes, and his car was making strange noises he couldn't ignore. One night, as he sat at the kitchen table going through bills, he felt completely defeated. Emily walked in quietly and wrapped her arms around him. "It's okay, Daddy," she whispered. "You always fix everything." He hugged her tightly and promised he would. But for the first time, he wasn't sure. 2 weeks later, Michael was getting ready to head home after another long day at the shop when a sleek black car pulled up outside. He thought it must be a customer with a high-end vehicle. Instead, a well-dressed woman stepped out, followed by 2 people carrying briefcases. The woman looked vaguely familiar, but he couldn't place her. She approached with a calm smile. "Are you Michael Turner?" she asked. "Yes," he replied cautiously. "My name is Sarah Bennett," she said. "We met briefly a few weeks ago." Outside the diner. Michael blinked. It was hard to believe this polished, confident woman was the same person who sat on the curb that morning, dressed in tattered clothes. But then he looked into her eyes and recognized the same sadness, now replaced with gratitude. "I didn't expect to see you again," he said quietly. She nodded. "I know. That day. I was at one of the lowest points in my life. I had just lost my home after a long legal battle. My family had turned their back on me, and I didn't know where to go. You were the first person who showed me kindness without asking anything in return." Michael shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. "No," she said firmly. "Not anyone. And not when they needed that meal as badly as I did. You gave me the last of what you had. That kind of kindness matters more than you know." He didn't know what to say. She gestured to the two people behind her. "These are my attorneys." "Attorneys?" Michael felt nervous. She continued, "Thanks to some legal help, my situation has changed. I was able to reclaim property my grandparents left me, but that had been taken unfairly. I'm now financially secure again. And I want to repay your kindness." Michael shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." She smiled gently. "Maybe not. But I want to help." She handed him an envelope. He opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a letter confirming that his rent had been paid for an entire year in advance. Another letter stated that a trust fund had been set up for Emily's future education. A third page detailed employment assistance and financial planning services that Sarah's firm would provide to him, entirely free of charge. Michael stared in disbelief. I can't accept this," he said, voice shaking. Sarah stepped closer. "You gave up your breakfast that day, Michael. But more than that, you gave me hope when I had none. You reminded me what kindness looks like. My attorneys and I decided we wanted to help others the way you helped me. You were the reason we started a new community outreach program. Your story was the spark." Michael's vision blurred with tears. He tried to speak but couldn't. Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out a small paper bag. "And," she added with a soft laugh, "I brought you breakfast." He took the bag slowly. Inside was a buttered toast, scrambled eggs, and a cup of coffee. That was when he broke down. Right there, outside the auto shop, he sat on the sidewalk and cried. Sarah sat beside him quietly. She didn't say a word. Later that evening, Michael brought Emily to meet Sarah. Emily hugged her without needing an explanation. She simply said, "Thank you for helping my daddy." Sarah smiled through tears. "He helped me first." In the months that followed, Michael's life began to change. With financial guidance, he moved to a safer, slightly bigger home. He repaired his car and even started working toward opening his own small auto repair business. He began volunteering at a local shelter on weekends, serving breakfast to people who had nowhere else to go. Each time he served a plate, he remembered that cold December morning when he gave away his own meal. Emily watched proudly as her father rebuilt his life. She told her teachers, "My daddy says kindness always comes back to you." They didn't fully understand, but she did. Sarah stayed in touch. She attended Emily's school events. She supported Michael's business when it opened. And together, they worked on community projects that provided legal aid and small financial support to families in difficult situations. One evening, about a year later, Michael stood in front of a group at a local community center, giving a short speech at an event for kindness awareness. He looked nervous, but Sarah nodded from the front row, encouraging him. He cleared his throat. "I didn't think I was doing anything special that day," he began. "I was hungry. I was tired. But I saw someone who looked like she needed it more. I didn't have much to give, just breakfast. But maybe kindness is most meaningful when it costs us something. I never did it expecting anything back. I did it because I knew what pain felt like, and I didn't want someone else to feel it alone." He paused, eyes glistening. If you ever think what you have to offer is too small to matter, he continued, remember even a simple